everyone. Thank you for coming. We're going to talk about XR around the world. Hola, mi nombre es Daniel.
Hola, yo soy Camilo, ¿cómo están?
Vamos a hablar sobre VR en Colombia.
But remember, it's in English.
Oh yeah, sorry, it's in English. Okay, so we're going to talk about VR impact in Colombia. We have a powerful idea. We think Colombia can be the VR hub of Latin America. My friend here.
As I say, my name is Camilo Montañez. I'm the business developer of our company that is called 3Go Video. We create amazing experience.
My name is Daniel Rojas. I am a VR passionist since 2010, and I love to be here. I'm really honored. So, okay, Colombia is the third biggest country of Latin America. We live in Bogota, that is the capital city. So, how many of you guys like BMX? Anyone?
Here.
Yeah, sir. Okay, awesome. So, Mariana Pajon, last year, she won the golden medal of BMX for women. It's really amazing. So, Samsung and the Colombian government united to create a VR game so we could take advantage of this amazing prize. A lot of people, young people, got really engaged with this experience. Another awesome experience was help us clean the Sierra Nevada, not your Sierra Nevada. Ours is considered the heart of the world because it's at the center of the world. This VR was made with a live action VR video. They wanted to create an awareness so people didn't throw garbage in the nature. It was really nice because they did a fundraising with this. Also, Samsung supported. And last but not least, the best experience we are so excited to share because we made it. We did a 360 video where we showed family and friends quality time together in Piscilago. Piscilago is the biggest water park in Colombia. Not as big as Disneyland, but it's really awesome for us. So here, we use cardboards to distribute so people could watch the experience we made. And as you can see, Samsung has a big presence in Colombia. And why is that? Because they have a retail store, they sell VR headsets and 360 cameras. But what happens with HTC and Oculus? Why they are not present? Well, because they are closed. If you try to buy, you need a US credit card, and this is impossible for us. So we need your collaboration to open more so we can access. Camilo is going to talk about how the VR community is.
Okay, our community in Colombia is called VRCO. That is so simple because it's Virtual Reality Colombia. And this community is a place where the people can enjoy and looking for business, make participation, we make tools, and we meeting by meetups. In our community, enjoy the government, the industries, and all persons that enjoy the VR and augmented reality. In our community, we call us visionaries because we believe that this is the future. This is awesome participation that we have in Latin American Congress that is about marketing. And we participate because we think that the things that we create as augmented reality application and virtual reality experience is an important tool in the marketing. This was an interesting experience there. Also, we have a few universities that have a department of research and development in virtual reality and augmented reality. Some of them is FA University, and this is our military university that has an interesting research augmented reality department. And also we have the Universidad de los Andes. There is a university where you can find a collaboration reality virtual department. And also we have some interesting experience to share with us because in our society we recently signed a treatment in a PACE treatment. And in this treatment it's important to know that if will happen if you be a soldier, and when you are a soldier you know that the war is a very bad thing. This experience encourages the people to know how manage kind of things.
Okay, so we are really thirsty for creation, but we need your collaboration, your support, and more activities. So we invite you to talk with us so we can create more things in Colombia.
We imagine a space where you can enjoy, we can apport your knowledge, and together have a fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you. Gonna check. Yes. Hi, everyone. So first of all, thank you so much, guys. Great presentation, and thank you for Unity for inviting us and having us on stage. Also, thank you, China, for the great time in Beijing and for giving me bronchitis.
Hi, everyone.
So I'm going to try to make our little presentation interactive, and sorry, so you guys can collaborate with us. So raise your hand if you are not from the US. Okay.
A lot.
Great. There's a lot of you, so we're going to make it very interactive. So basically, Eddie and I will be introducing the landscape and the current marketplace in China and Europe to you, walk you through from investment strategies to experiences and to other applications that you will see on the slides.
Okay, start with me, but you have the clip. Oh, it's all right. My name is Eddie Low. I'm the founder and CEO of Sandman Studio, which is an animation studio based out of Beijing. We are actually currently working on a series of VR animated shorts. But also, I'm the creator and curator of Sandbox Festival of Immersive Storytelling. It is a communication and showcase platform for narrative or storytellers working specifically in VR. We're trying to use this platform to connect all these creators with media, distributors, financiers, and also other institutions as well as partners in China, and foster collaborations and partnership. I'm also working very, very closely with Kinga to build or to create this bridge between China as well as the rest of the world, especially US as well as Europe, to help creators and creatives to bring more ideas into reality. And I'll throw back to Kinga for this.
Okay, so that's me. It's a little long, guys. Sorry, I'm going to walk through that. So Eddie and I basically are trying to build an ecosystem and an infrastructure that combines international territories as well as the US. And we work very closely with creative people. I personally have a new wave management company and production company called Reverse Engineering Studios. Our team can be found in the first row over there if you guys have any questions to them after the talk. And I personally have a traditional background, got engaged with VR 2 years ago when we made a live action experience with Starbreeze, which was super fun to make, and it opened doors for creative minds to see what other mediums and formats they can produce. So we decided not to put people in boxes, but push boundaries and really look into universes and characters and stories that we want to tell, regardless whether it's film, TV, digital content. So what matters for us is to make applicable stories for the medium, specifically designed for the medium, and if it's suitable for VR, great. If it's not suitable for VR, it should be something else.
Okay. If we look at the different region of VR or AR ecosystem, we have North America, we have Europe, and we have China, Asia, and they're also a part in Australia and other part of the world. And we are actually specifically talking about Europe and China. Well, for China, everyone knows it's a super massive country with 1.4 billion people there, living there. And also, for the younger generation, they're always tech savvy. They always go and buy the latest technologies and gadgets. So we believe that China will become, in the next few years, become a major consumer market for AR, VR technologies, not just both for hardware as well as software. And for Europe, do you want to add on a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So Europe is funny because there's plenty of countries with so many different languages and yet is not united. So each country develops their own creators, designers, programmers, softwares, hardwares, but communication is not quite there and the marketplaces are extremely segmented. And I should also put out Canada as part of the international marketplace, which Europe works really closely with, but we're just going to be covering mostly Western Europe and China today on the presentation.
Okay, so according to a couple of studies, we have studies from IDC as well as Greenlight Insights. For Western Europe, there was a study of market size forecast, which will reach 1.5 billion US dollars by this year, end of this year, actually. But for China, we have a specific study that is actually done by myself, collaborating with Greenlight Insights, and there is a forecast in 5 years' time, 2021, the market size will reach out to 11.3 billion US dollars for China, and that was VR only. And that figures actually a more conservative approach. If the market turns out to be more grow more rapidly, then the number will actually have will reach out to about 17 or 18 billion or so.
So what's interesting about China is that there are actually competition among companies who make hardware and also develop different softwares, while in Europe the number is significantly lower, although we only highlight the number in Western Europe because that was the number I was able to get from IDC. But in Europe, most companies that are in software hardware support get tons of funding and subsidies from government incentive programs as well as different institutions. And that sort of somehow kills the competition, if that makes sense, because all startups are provided to be receiving support, but none of the startups could hit a level where it could be pushed out to a mass marketplace. Oh, yeah, that's my side again. So what you guys can see, this is a very mathematical and boring slide, but basically how the community, and I wouldn't call it only VR, AR community, but I suppose new media and tech community divides into different groups, and what are the expectations and projections of what would happen or likely to happen in 2017. So hopefully consumers are going to be introduced to new media and tech in Europe, because often, again, these startups are hidden in garages and you can't really get to find their new innovations unless you look really hard. So consumers don't really engage with content just yet, but tons of countries are working on building different locations where you guys can go and check new stuff out. And then you have manufacturing and other businesses, which basically is all other application that is non-entertainment related or marketing related. That's another interesting side. So it's a source from VRX. VRX puts conferences together in London, UK, which is going to be coming up in a few weeks. And they did a very interesting survey asking about over 500 companies in Europe just to tell them what they think, what the community is looking like or divided these days. And it's interesting to see how many people call themselves content creators, but yet there's not enough content. And how many people are pushing for the hardware support, although there's more than enough of hardware. And of course, you got the end users and the consultants. But what's more interesting is that every people seem to have their own perspective of creating something they really want. And therefore, you got like 8 different groups on the second picture, where people just go for B2B businesses or B2C operations that they are good at, not really pushing for other applications what China is popular with.
If you look at this diagram, it was quite different from the last slides, because for the last slides, the categorizations of different types of content is actually kind of even between 10 to about 20%. But if you look at this, we have about 60% of people working in the VR industry to develop VR games, whereas applications is about a quarter, 25%, and there are a little bit people actually working narratives and live capture. So this is actually a figure for China, and it's a research done by China's biggest developer community, VR Core. And so just to show what's the difference look like between China and Europe. And this is also, I wanted to share This is the statistics of investments in China. So in the last 2 years, we have actually about 200 deals that has been invested into VR. But you can see, actually, starting from last year, people and also investors become more rational about their valuation, about their businesses, and how feasible they are. So the valuation in general become much lower, but the number of deals still increasing. But also, which is interesting is that the number of deals that is overseas investment from China, so Chinese investors investing into overseas companies, increased quite a bit as well. So VR is a global medium. China is an emerging country or a developing country, also trying to work worldwide and invest worldwide.
Cool. Yeah, so we're going to jump into the fun part now. Because we had to go through numbers and diagrams with you guys, otherwise there's no marketplace we can introduce. So we had looked into the best experiences, or at the time were the most advanced experiences, I would say. And Europe is very highlighted by pushing the mediums on its own for experimental experiences, such as no sun blindness, which I'm sure most of you, I hope most of you, are familiar with. If you're not, check it out. I highly recommend it. Also, Watch Out, which is a VR game, very cute, adapted from a feature film that was nominated for the Oscars as Best Animation. And the animation was called My Life as Zucchini. And Longing for Wilderness, which was a piece done by Film Academy in Germany, sponsored by another Berlin lab called VR Now, who is also doing tons of development work in VR space. And of course, we got the UK, the first live experiences that were introduced, I believe, in 2015 at South Bank, London, because the UK is pushing for tons of creations as well, and amazing content.
Okay, for China, I mean, most of the content there, actually 80% of the content there are actually games. There was a game called X-Animal, is very popular in the last years, and also won the award for VR Core. But also I would like to recommend you to have a look at because both me and Kinga is working on the narrative side, and we have a very good narrative piece called The Dream Collector. It's not yet on the platform. It's going to be out soon, I think next month, and is a very well done piece that I think every one of you will love it.
Yeah. And maybe we should ask them, like, you guys, raise your hand if you are more on the narrative side in VR. Okay, a couple of you, don't be shy. Video game VR experiences are great too, but I mean, there's also video game as a medium that's been established. And so for the rest of you are gamers, for game-driven experiences, CG bullet experiences? Okay. Thank you, Oliver. Yeah, and then there's a combination of the two. Right, so the community, just like we can't really decide whether it's narrative or game, whether it's CG or live action, whether it should remain 360 or not. Communities in Europe are extremely segmented and divided as well. Each country is fighting to have the best of the market and the conference, and in some way they are communicating with each other, trying to make it all work, but yet pushing their own market just to be getting more recognition at places like World VR Forum, which is in Switzerland, or the Dutch VR Days in the Netherlands, which is extremely popular and super fun if you guys want to go there, and VRWC, the World Congress in the UK.
And in China, the community there is quite active too. We always have meetups and workshops going on. There are a lot of conferences there too, but one of the most active is VR Core, which is the biggest VR developer community. Sandbox, which is running by my studio, collaborating with a couple of other companies, is more on the narrative side. Yeah.
But across the country.
Yeah, across the country. And this is something interesting I wanted to share with you too. It was actually a study done by LinkedIn, And they actually do statistics on the global talents across the world. So you can see that actually 40% of VR talents or creatives are actually within US, and there are about 20, maybe 15% around Europe area, in Great Britain, France, and Germany. But if you look at the number in China, it's 2%. So we have such a big country, such a big market, but the talents over there is only 2%. I think we have to work very, very hard to get all these people from traditional or other disciplines to come over to join us in VR in order to create something good.
Yeah. So Eddie has all the time after his speech to take the business cards. If you guys have good recommendations for talent, because he's lacking. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Yes. So how easy to find, to access resources and education platforms, which basically would be the first step to raise talent or just get the right awareness for talent. So I personally live in Los Angeles, but I'm from Europe and had spent most of my life there in Budapest and London. And it's interesting for me to see how companies ambitiously pushing forward with their new ideas and how talented they are, yet there are not enough courses or workshops are around. There is a few that we could mention, such as virtuality in France, or that second funky picture is a picture from a workshop in Helsinki, which they will launch very soon, but I couldn't find the logo of that. FABW is the Film Academy in Baden-Württemberg in Germany, which surprisingly enough is using a VFX department to be transitioning into a VR new media department. And they work very closely with US schools, but other than FABW, I'm not quite aware of any other institutions that would do exactly the same things. While in the US, you have UCL and USC doing regular courses, and in Europe, you only get the workshops and weekend courses.
Okay, I've already explained that actually about the community. So apart from communities, we also have educational institutions that providing workshops, starting to provide courses to people, especially not just students in college, but also people outside colleges to learn about VR. Yeah, just to make it quick. Do you want to?
Oh, the R&D side.
Okay.
You can mention a few words.
Sure. Everyone knows that China has a very complicated political system, and the government is, sometimes in the good side, sometimes in the bad side. But for the development of the industry, Chinese government are actually putting a lot of efforts into promoting this, especially virtual reality and artificial intelligence, to not just provide incentives, but also programs to especially on the technology side, to provide various like rebates and tax refund incentives to virtual reality companies. But we're still lacking the support from the culture side, which is the support for content creators. But we'll get to see them in the following years, because VR has actually become one of the most important or key technologies this entire country need to promote in the next 5 years.
Yeah. So in Europe, from the US, we work tons with international talent, especially in VR, AR, which is a global and digital medium. And for me, it's always very interesting to see how much each marketplaces and countries support research and development with subsidies, with government funds, with incentive programs, which is great for the creator, great for the programmers. They can kick their projects off, and startups can get some sort of visibility, but yet it also discourages them in a way to be connecting with each other and to be sharing and learning and collaborating with each other. So looking at the UK, for instance, has a great tax incentive program, which you guys should look into. It's 30% of total on new media projects, which you can take 25% away. and if you have a great application and a great project to present, then most likely you will receive that 25%. So whatever your budget is, that would still help you kicking off your business. And you just basically in R&D keep developing and keep moving forward with different kind of projects. But yet, what these smaller teams don't have is the resource to expand, nor they need that resource to expand that much, because what they really want to do is just create. And unless there is a company behind them that says your content is the greatest or your hardware is the best and I really want to put it out, they are highly unlikely to be seen unless you go, again, to markets or festivals or conferences where their demos are being presented. But again, going to markets and festivals, you get a different audience, what you would get in conferences like that. So Europe, in my opinion, is just a great place to look at startups, to look at R&D, to engage with countries like Canada, to work with countries like China, which is also applicable for co-productions, but yet that co-production, that market needs to be developed and communications have to get better.
Okay, about hardware, it's a very tough game in China. In China we don't have Oculus at this moment, but we do have HTC Vive, Samsung Gear, and maybe in the future have Microsoft headsets as well. But we do have a big number of our domestic brands too, because China is very technology-driven and heavy countries, and we always value software over content, unfortunately. So we have a lot of companies working in hardware. So for headsets, we have more than 20 domestic brands, but they are very, as I stated in the bullet point, it's extremely competitive market. So if you want to do headsets and if you want to do China business, it will be very, very difficult because the competition over there is severe. Also, it is based on the fact that we have a very, very efficient supply chain system in south part of China. So everyone got to iterate their product very quickly, and also it's a high bar for foreign country products too. If you work on the peripheral side, like motion capture haptics, that's I think probably fine, but headsets will be very difficult. Yeah.
I'm going to speed it up. So I had already gone through my bullet points for Europe. Basically, Europe tends to be more comfortable because they have allowances for R&D, and yet the consumers are not fully introduced to the medium, but there are locations that are spreading and are available. And briefly, we will talk to you guys about the locations. We see the IMAX Center. So we put it up there, we put up IMAX there because it is a US corporation, yet in the UK they will have a massive center being built currently. MK2 is a French distribution platform company with over 2,000 movie theaters in France and as well as in Spain. And so basically they are leveraging their movie theaters to be expanding their locations and bringing in VR to the public. Illusion Walk is a German company, and they are more experimental, similar to like somewhere in between, I guess, Escape meets a Void sort of experience, but way more independent.
Okay. Just to say quickly, in China, we have now about 3,000 spots across China with location-based centers. But although we have a big number, actually most of them, 80% of them are actually not profitable. Because the content was so bad, people go inside the experience and do not come back again. So actually we do need to have more creators to create more premium content to provide these to the locations in order to make a sustainable ecosystem for them.
Challenges and opportunities. You got 49 seconds to
go
through
okay.
them.
Well, so I think we've actually covered a lot of things. But in general, in China, although we are a big country, developing very quickly, we still facing a lot of challenges. Like we don't have that many talents, and we still the access to those technologies is still limited. and there was always control by the government to have like a censorship on content. But we do believe that it's a big market for us, and everyone's working extremely hard, not just by ourselves, but also working with other countries, especially in the US, to make it work, to make the ecosystem work.
And I think lack of the language barrier, which just should be rejected and not really taken care of. And again, lack of connection. And what we need to figure out is what is the ecosystem we are building, what is the business model we are building, what is the monetization that we could leverage this medium from, and what is the definition of the medium on its own. So in very brief words, our conclusion is that we have to keep pushing, we have to keep creating, we have to see how audiences react, how the public reacts, how different applications and businesses react to content. But we do need to keep making content because, as any other medium, this needs time as well to be finding its own directions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.